I'm just helping you invest in your future, my friend.
It sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yes, thank you. You will get rich quick. We all will.
Hello, my friends of the internet. Oh, Bobbies, what's up? Why are we awake? What's up, everybody? Hello, hello. How are we doing? Happy Monday. Is anybody even here? I don't know. Oh my goodness. Monica says, I'm ready to become rich. You know what? This is the attitude we need today because we are going to be participating in one of our favorite activities here on the channel, and that is manifesting anything we want, money included. Erin says, hello, friends. Let's get rich. Let's make some money magically by thinking about it and manifesting. You guys, you know what's up. You know what's up.
It sounds like a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yes, thank you. You will get rich quick. We all will.
We are all going to get rich collectively. I have my cranberry ginger ale, soda water, as always. Delicious, tasty. We love it. Monica says, I've got the right mindset today. That is the attitude we need. I just spilled that all over myself, so I need to manifest better table manners. Erin says, I'm trying to manifest a new MacBook. You just got to believe a little bit harder, and that's the secret, okay? To that, I will just say this.
We call it like the knowing frequency. It's like when you just know that you know that you know that you know that you know that hashtag, of course, you couldn't not manifest it because you just know that that's who you are. And of course, and how could you not?
So if you want a new MacBook, you just got to know that you know that you know the MacBook is coming. So how could you not manifest it? Okay, write that down. Zip says, I went to my niece's middle school play this weekend that had a life coach character. Ooh, T, tell us more. Were they for good or for evil? I want to know. Okay, full disclosure, guys, I'm feeling a little bit sleepy. I was having a nap about 20 minutes before I came here. And so if I start yawning, that's what's up. It's just one of those days. It's been raining here for far too many days in a row, and it's affecting my ability to stay awake. So we're trying our best. Monica says, we know. All know, indeed. Okay, so today we are, as per the comments, going to be looking at a podcast episode. It's actually 2 podcast episodes. The first one is about 50 minutes, and then the next one is 56 minutes, but I'm sure we'll skip around a little bit, as we always do, from someone who has been featured on the channel in the past, very popular in the manifestation coaching space. So some of you may recognize her and her content. But yeah, we're going to be listening to a conversation that she had on her podcast. I think this episode's actually kind of old. It might be from it's from May of last year, but someone submitted it to my reaction content form, which is linked in the description of all of my videos. So I was having a look through and I found it and I thought maybe we would listen together. And basically, allegedly, these people are going to be teaching us how to manifest our dream lives, essentially anything we've ever wanted. So you're going to want to grab your pen and paper. There is a lot to be learned, and we're going to see how this goes. Let me just switch my screen here. Oh, we must have been blocking someone's view last week. I'll also pull the chat up on the screen. So let me just make Bubba a little bit smaller. I'm sorry if you can hear my boyfriend. He's gaming with his friends right now, and he has a very loud voice, so he is screaming, which is probably why Bubba keeps lifting his head. Okay, so like I said, the title of this episode is Asking a Psychic Medium Your Juiciest Down the Rabbit Hole, questions with... And that's the name of the psychic. So I will say as a bit of a disclaimer before we get into this, if you believe in psychics, amazing. I've had experiences with psychics. Do I think that it's necessarily true? Not really. But it can be fun. It can be fun to, get a little tarot card reading, sit down with a medium and have them tell you your future. So no harm in that. I don't want any of the comments in the live chat or whether you're watching the replay to be, people who believe in psychics are idiots. That's not what this conversation is about. We're going to be focusing mostly on the magical thinking and harmful practices and verbiage that I'm sure we are to hear in this episode. I haven't actually listened to it, so I can't say that for certain, but based on what I know about this particular coach and her content, it's probably pretty safe to assume that some of what she's going to say is pretty problematic. So, Katie says, I am buckled up for this wild ride. That is the attitude we need. And before we jump into it, I just ask one simple request of all of you here in the chat.
Raise your hand if you want to get rich.
Please raise your hand if you want to get rich, because that's what we're about to do together. Okay, let's go ahead and get right into the episode.
A key telling sign that maybe self-image isn't as high as your higher self would like it to be is if you find people aren't valuing you in relationships, in career, in life. If you find people, maybe you start talking and they talk over you and you get annoyed by that. Those are some telling signs that self-image might not be where higher self wants it to be. Self-image is so important because it is
Let me know how the sound level is.
the key to fucking life. Who the fuck is going to buy what you're selling or see your value in any area of life with whatever it may be if you don't?
If you could guarantee sexuality, 25 million prize win every area. Welcome back to another episode of the Manifestation Babe podcast. I just finished recording this incredible episode with my recent and new bestie, Allie Ninfo, who just so happens to be an intuitive, a psychic, and a medium. And I just love her so much. And you guys know I don't bring guests on my podcast very often. So when I love someone, I truly love someone. And when I feel like they have a ton of value to add to the podcast, that's when I bring them. And I'm so...
Oh, that's weird because I actually only invite people onto my channel who I think will offer zero value and just I want to give them exposure. So very unique and revolutionary of her to only invite people on who will provide her audience with value. What a wild concept that perhaps I should consider implementing in my own content. Wow.
Excited for this episode. If you guys know me, you know this is the kind of shit that I'm into. I'm obviously into astrology. I've brought plenty of astrologists to the podcast. I'm into shamanism. I'm into numerology, all the woo things. I love going super deep into the woo. And there's no exception here. I also love to get deep into psychics and mediums and intuitives and intuition and all that jazz. You guys did not hold back on this Q&A for Allie. I posted an Instagram Q&A. If you don't follow me yet on Instagram, you can find me on @manifestationbabe. Every time I bring on a guest, there's an opportunity for you to ask your questions, and I literally take them all into consideration. So if you want to be a part of these Q&A episodes when I bring guests on, then definitely stay tuned for those Q&A boxes.
What a weird thing to say. I literally take them all into consideration. Guys, ask me questions and I might not ask them, but I'll literally take them all into consideration. Well, no, duh. Why else would you be collecting questions? I'm sorry, I'm being nitpicky, but this woman irritates me. And so it's just, I can't help it.
Okay. We did this episode live in my podcast studio. In fact, Allie was the inaugural guest and she had to sit through a couple of tech issues this morning as we were setting up, but I'm so grateful for her patience and we just had so much fun. This episode is going to be a two-parter because we literally talked for almost 2 hours on all sorts of topics. We went down the rabbit hole, such as how to hone in on your own psychic gifts, the fact that everyone is intuitive, but they just need to strengthen it like a muscle. I think that's such an empowering perspective, especially for people who feel like they don't have intuition or they're not psychic and they wish that they were. You are. You just need to grow that muscle. Allie's thoughts on plant medicine and my updated thoughts on plant medicine since my own experience with ayahuasca literally over 5 years ago now. We talked about whether or not dark forces like demons exist and how to go about them and why we shouldn't be afraid of them.
Okay, why are we doing this podcast is an hour long and we're spending like 5 minutes summarizing what's going to be in the podcast when we already have a description that's telling us what's in the podcast? Like, why not just get to the podcast?
What the spiritual root cause of certain health issues are. Like, I remember us talking about weight gain, negotiating with spirit babies. So we've talked about spirit babies on the podcast before, but we've never talked about negotiating with them, which I thought was so interesting. And I've never heard this concept or this topic being talked about from this angle than from Allie. We talked about conspiracy theories. We talked about selling souls for money in Hollywood. We talked about aliens, spiritual attacks, self-image, and how to use neuroscience.
I'm just going to skip because she's just summarizing what we're about to listen to.
All sorts of other things that we can do. Helps you master energetics, laws of the universe, and neuroscience to unfuck your life and access souls who have crossed over. But to be able to read energy, souls both here and on the other science to implement, to reprogram the brain.
Oh my God, she's still going. Oh, okay. Let's just skip to like 8 minutes and maybe she'll start talking.
You're just like so like to the point, so blunt, so like upbeat, bubbly. I listened to the whole video and I'm like, I really like this chick. She's cool. But I kept scrolling because I was in my scroll mode. And then I heard Andrea voice note me in the middle of your session.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't know who she's talking to, but I like this client. She's like, I'm with my client, Allie. And I didn't make the connection at first, but I just heard your giggle and I'm like, I really like her. I don't know who that is. And then she sent me your Instagram profile because you had a course all about, what was it
The
called?
glow formula.
The glow formula. And literally the sales page was written for me because at the time I was trying to figure out like why I wasn't losing postpartum weight. And I felt like I had really low self-image with my body. And so I'm like, oh my God, this girl is just speaking to me. Like, I just need to be like in her course and her energy. And then literally like we just became, I booked a one-on-one with you.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if that's just because I'm the most impatient person in the world, which I am. But this is a 1 hour podcast or 50-minute podcast. We are 9 minutes in, so 10% of the way finished. And we haven't even started the podcast. We spent the first 7 minutes talking about what we're going to talk about in the episode. And now we've spent the next 2 to 3 minutes just being like, oh my God, I'm so obsessed with you. Like, this is so boring. Boring! And I say this specifically for like a podcast. I feel like some of you might be watching and being like, Danielle, you spend the first 10 minutes of your live stream just yapping about nothing. But this is a live stream. There's no script. There's no agenda. I'm just freaking sitting here yapping. If I'm listening to a podcast, and again, this could just be a me problem because maybe I like my things a very specific way. But to me, a podcast is supposed to be like articulate and to the point. Like there's supposed to be, the title says what the theme is going to be. You get into the episode and you get to listen and learn about that thing. I don't want to listen to you yip yap back and forth about nothing unless I'm listening to a podcast where that's the whole premise of the podcast. Like there's a few influencer podcasts that I listen to where people just literally talk to each other for an hour and it feels like you're like listening in on their conversation. That's different. To me, this episode is supposed to be teaching me something, answering my questions that I submitted on Instagram. So why haven't we gotten to the point where we're actually asking those questions? I'm just curious because we're already 10% done. And I haven't learned anything.
I booked a one-on-one with you.
Yes.
And halfway through, we're like, are we going to be best friends?
I was like, we're going to be best friends.
We're 100% going to be best friends.
I just gave you my number.
Yeah,
I never give like one-on-one clients. I'm just like, here.
Maybe I am. Zip says, Danielle is the podcast listener version of the people who complain about how little of a 3-hour football game is actually playing football.
Text me.
So then we started texting. We've been on a retreat together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now you're in Scottsdale.
Yes.
You hired a new COO.
Yes.
And so you're visiting Scottsdale. And so we're like, we need to do a podcast episode together.
Yes.
So that's the backstory, you guys.
Wait, I have a backstory of how I found out about you.
Yes.
Okay.
Please enlighten me.
People have mentioned you to me randomly throughout like the past 2 years. Okay. But like the first.
Exactly. Aaron says this is the equivalent to the 7 paragraphs before a recipe on a blog. Absolutely agree.
Time I like forgot. Like I just did. But someone was like, one of my clients was like, you need to.
Okay. I'm going to keep skipping because I really don't care how they met.
During my session, think then the glow formula and the whole thing, and then
and here we are,
and we're soulmates, so
and literally soulmates.
it's fine.
You're an Aries sun, a Libra moon, and a Gemini rising.
Yes,
my husband is an Aries sun, so we bonded on that.
Uh-huh.
Your boyfriend Justin is the day after mine, his birthday, so he's a Libra sun.
Yep.
I'm a Libra rising and Gemini moon. So like we literally, guys, we were texting about this shortly after we had dinner together, and we're like, everything's making sense now. This is why we get along
It
so
makes
well.
so much sense. I was like, oh my God. And like, I'll even hear you like when we talk about like our partners and kind of thing, I'm like, wait, I feel like I can relate to Brendan. I feel like you can relate to Justin. Like, I feel like it just all makes so
It
much
all
sense.
connects.
Because aren't Libra and Aries, they're like sister signs, they're opposites of the zodiac, right?
They're like complementary opposites.
Complementary opposites, yes.
Yeah,
Makes
so we
sense.
get along very well.
Yeah.
We recently went to a retreat together,
Mhm.
and when I introduced you to my friend Ashley and like vice versa, I remember at one point, I think like Ashley was she was running her program, and you and I were like on the Zoom watching Ashley run her program. And it was while we're driving to Sedona where I go, wait, I don't think Ashley knows that you're a psychic medium. Like, I don't think she understands that there's a freaking psychic in our car. So that, of course, opened up this whole vortex
Yes.
of like, wait, Allie can like.
Okay, I don't care. I'm getting upset, guys. This is way too much. Okay, let's go to 15 minutes and maybe they'll start talking. Like, of a 50-minute podcast, we're spending 15 minutes not talking about anything other than how we met in a car. Like, what?
Reality is. So in her creator field was riddled with these beliefs of I'm not good enough to get married. No one's ever going to like me. I hate men, blah, blah, blah. And so I'm like, oh, okay, see what the psychic was reading. But then I look in her higher self field. We have different fields. We have source field. We have
Their voices are so similar. I can't tell who's talking right now.
angel and guide field, but I don't ask guides questions because they can lie, but we'll get into that later.
Wait, they can lie?
They can lie. Guides can lie to you.
I don't like that.
Yeah. They don't do it. I go, yeah. They don't do it with bad intent, but they do it to get you to learn a lesson. But you can bypass having to learn a lesson by just asking higher self. So I'm like, why the fuck would I get lied to, have to go through some shit when I can just ask higher self and bypass the whole thing?
Interesting.
So we can read guides in guide field. I choose not to. We love them, but I don't read them for advice. Then we have higher self field. Then we have our soul field. And we have creator field. We have source field. And we have thought field. So thoughts are obviously what we're thinking. Creator field is what I just explained. Source is obviously source. Higher self is higher self. Soul is reading the soul. So I then look at her higher self and I'm like, okay, let me check with higher self. No, higher self is like, yeah, like I literally have a like soul complement to get married to. Like there's so many options. Like it's possible. Look at soul contract, and her soul contract is literally to get married. I'm like, okay. So it's not like this girl has some weird soul contract where she's doomed for life and is never getting married. Even if she did, you can negotiate that and change it anyway. So like she would have been fine either way. So I then explained to her this whole thing. I'm like, no, like she was reading your creator field, but she wasn't reading your higher self and your soul. So what I do is I see where someone's at, where they want to go, and I help them get there by reading their creator field and see what's blocking them from their higher self. And so I looked at her creator field. It looks like a math equation to me. And I'm like, okay, you have this belief here. Here's how we rewire this. I bring in neuroscience, but I intuitively test how the neuroscience tool is going to work. So not
I'm listening, but I'm not understanding anything they're talking about. Somebody translate. Help.
everyone's going to be using the same neuroscience tool. It's not going to all work. But I have a whole pocket of neuroscience tools and ways to shift the brain. But then I intuitively test, okay, 0 to 100%, how effective is this for them? I give her the tool, she shifts, she's fucking engaged now.
Oh my God. Thank God, too.
Thank God.
Thank God she came to you.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
know.
Thank God she came to you. So now that you can take full credit for this woman getting engaged because you rewired her energy guides using neuroscience. Let's just put a bunch of words into the blender and hope that it makes sense.
Have you ever had that nagging feeling like you're just meant for more? Like there's this bigger...
Oh, this is going to be an ad for her program. Skippity skip. See you later. Okay, we're 18 minutes in and we really haven't heard much.
secrets to mastering manifestation. The exact shifts that took me from being stuck in debt, doubting myself, and wondering if I was crazy for believing in something bigger. To be clear, this isn't another think positive, stop waiting, and start stepping into the /meant for more
Gifts to just tell people what their limiting beliefs are.
Yes.
Instead of like asking them questions like, hey, what do you think it is? Which obviously can be useful because then you're asking them to use their intuition, which can be a very valuable practice. But like for someone who just wants the answers and to just bridge the gap quickly and just get the tools, like that's what they come to you for that.
100%. Yeah, because you can spin your wheels in therapy for 20 years, but where the problem's coming up is never the root cause of the problem. The root cause of the problem is in a completely different area of life. Like we were talking about this, like extra weight. It's never like, oh, we're working out, eating, blah, blah, blah.
Calories in versus calories out.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's always like, I'm beating myself up. I don't, blah, 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 blah. Like it's always these other things. So, or you can go and be in therapy and be like, oh, people don't value me. My boyfriend doesn't value me. And then the therapist is going to be like, oh, we'll date someone who does. But the thing is you'll never create a life or attract someone who does until you do in your own world, in your own energy, in your own creator field, until you value yourself. So people spin their wheels, but I'm like, you can learn, and I'm not special. Everyone has intuition. You can learn the right tools, ask your own intuition and be like, what's the root cause? Shift it in fucking 10 minutes and be good to go with your day.
Shifted it just 10 minutes and then move on with your day. Wait, oh my God. My mind wants to take this in like literally 1,000 directions. And I literally.
Guys, if I have to listen to one more person try and convince me that every problem in my life can be solved using my mindset, I'm gonna fucking lose it. I can't with this. I wanted to bring attention to one of these comments. Zip here is saying anything sounds deep if you say it in the right tone of voice. And I think that that is obviously something we've talked about a lot here on the channel, but it's something to me. And one of the reasons why I wanted to listen to these podcast episodes, these 2 episodes we're listening to today in particular, is because I think specifically in the like woo-woo manifestation spiritual space, it becomes particularly dangerous because so many of these gurus, and I'm not necessarily speaking about the people just in this episode, but in this sort of niche as a whole, one thing I've really noticed is that so many of these people have such a false sense of confidence and understanding in the information that they're spewing. I think back to, in particular, there was a video I did now, it would have been 2 years ago, the specific video where I talk about quantum manifestation and how most of these people are manipulating science or manipulating their beliefs to make it sound scientific when it's not really. And in that specific video that I did, I reacted to a couple different TikToks. And I remember one of the TikToks that I reacted to in that YouTube video, I actually commented on it on TikTok directly and indicated to the creator how what she was saying was not true. And her response, rather than, you know, being inquisitive, exploring, not responding at all, instead was basically telling me that I didn't understand what she was talking about and how she was right. And I was just like, that to me demonstrated how far gone some of these people are, that they truly believe that they understand more than they do. It's like the Dunning-Kruger effect, where they just like truly believe that they know what they don't know. And it's really scary. And so I kind of went on a rant there. But all that to say, the reason why I think it's so important we have these conversations is because if you find yourself in a vulnerable position and you listen to something like this, where the person speaking, like this comment says, in the right tone of voice, they sound confident, they're charismatic, they have the right, you know, software. This podcast has pretty good sound quality. You're more likely to believe what they're saying if you're desperate for reprieve from your suffering. And so the example they gave was like a girl that wanted to get engaged. If I'm lonely and I can't find the right partner for me, and then I listen to this podcast where these people are saying, all you have to do is shift your mindset, and then the girl's pitching her program in the podcast, well, I'm going to sign up because I want to figure out how to manifest my dream husband. And so it's just scary, it's dangerous, and that's why we're talking about this today. I've been here 2 minutes and my brain cells are screaming. Well, we've got a long way to go, so buckle up.
Really have 1,000 directions.
I'm ready.
Here. We have so many questions, but the thing that stood out that I want to dive into real quick is someone asked the difference between like soul contract and manifestation. Like at what point is it in our soul contract? Are we manifesting it? And then you just said you can negotiate your soul contract. How does one negotiate their soul contract? Like what if it's literally not in someone's contract to have a multi-million-dollar business, but in this lifetime, they really want to have a multi-million-dollar business or be a millionaire or look a certain way or have something or be married or whatever it is that isn't in their soul contract? Like, how do we do this, Allie? What are the steps?
I have the steps. We are energetic beings in the physical world. You know this. We need 100% energetic, 100% physical. So we also have to play to our human. If human wants something, we can play to that. And we...
Okay, Phoenix, maybe if you're still here, you can correct us. is a soul, I think, Monica, a soul contract, I don't know, again, I'm not really versed in the woo. I think it's like your destiny. Your soul contract is like what your soul is destined to do or achieve or have. It's like an agreement that you have with your soul, but I don't know. I'm kind of making that up. So if somebody knows, let us know. Phoenix says, hi. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. I'm spewing nonsense.
How we negotiate with the soul is by how you negotiate with someone else. Like if you're talking to Brennan and you're like, I got to get Brennan to see how my idea is better. And if I can play it into his highest value, I can get him on board. So I look at what's the soul's highest value in this lifetime. Maybe it is self-image, self-love. And maybe if they got money without realizing this, they would have never done the work on their self-image. They would have just used money to suppress that.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, what's the soul have to learn that it would have learned through not having this? I figure it out. Let's say it's self-image. I teach them self-image. I get them rooted to it. And I'm like, and if we do this, then will they then be able to then create the money, the millions that they want? If I get a yes from soul, they're good to go. So you negotiate it just like you negotiate with anyone.
You know what you said the other day that like blew my mind?
What?
We were talking about spirit babies and you said you had a negotiation with your spirit baby.
I did.
Okay, Phoenix says, when you're born, you come into certain agreements. Think of it as a contract, but on a soul level. So people you get into a relationship with was an agreement you guys made before birth. Okay, so it's like your pre-destiny. This is your path, and our path agreed that me and your path, they would cross and we would fall in love. I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh at people who believe in this. It's too far for me. So she's saying here that a soul contract is an agreement your conscious mind makes with your soul. That's how I'm hearing it. And you can negotiate with it. So if you decide you want to be a millionaire, you have to like convince your soul that you get to be a millionaire. Right? I don't know. I'm already confused.
I started negotiating with my next spirit baby because
What'd
there
you
were
say?
certain goals that I had where I really want to reach a certain level of health before I get pregnant again. It doesn't feel in alignment for me to get pregnant off of the base that I am right now.
Exactly. Space Pastry says we all made a soul contract to be in this live stream. That is exactly what we're trying to say.
In terms of, certain health issues that have, come up for me postpartum. And so I told this spirit baby, like, help me overcome these health issues, get my body where it needs to be, and I'll get pregnant with you right away.
Okay, so then a spirit baby is your baby that you haven't gotten pregnant with yet? Is that right? Oh my God, guys, I'm so confused. I'm learning so much.
And I don't know. I don't think I got any sort of answer for my spirit baby. And weirdly enough, this is so like, sometimes I forget about my own tools, or like I'll give someone advice and be like, wait a second, did I take that advice? Because I remember having direct communication with Orion. Like I could hear him talk to me, and it's because I opened up communication. And I realized I never talked to my other spirit baby. I never once opened the communication.
Yes.
I've been thinking a lot about her nonstop and talking a lot about her, but I'm like, wait a second, I never even talked to her. Hold on a moment.
Yes.
So I've just recently opened up the communication. And I know you've told me like that I have a spirit baby. It's a girl and she's like dying to come in. Like she's like dying to come in.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of like, okay, maybe for me, it feels better to wait a little bit longer. I know you want to come in right away. So let's like make a deal. Did I go about this correctly? Like,
Yeah. And you can go, hey, like the faster I get this, so you can even put him to work. So I did that. The project I'm working on.
Yes.
I had to negotiate with my daughter, like to not come in because I'm like, I don't want to be pregnant for the start of that.
Yes.
And like I want to be pregnant after the start of it. And so I was like, hey, the faster you help mom get this going, the faster you can come. You can like put him to work.
This is manifestation mastery level.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're using our spirit babies, which again are our unborn, unconceived children, to manifest the things we want. So we tell our spirit baby, I want to be a millionaire before I conceive you. So then the spirit baby helps you to manifest the $1 million, and then they can come into the world. This is fascinating. I want to speak to a psychologist about what makes people believe this. Exactly. Aaron says, this seems like it could be really dangerous to people struggling to conceive. 1000% yes. Also, Phoenix, absolutely agree. Phoenix says, it's a way that people in this community, or it's a way that people in this community try to justify the circumstances that happen to them. It's used as a way to take full accountability for things out of your control. And I mean, this is something we've seen time and time again here on the channel, specifically in the manifestation space. It's one of the reasons why I think manifestation coaching is so dangerous, allegedly, in my opinion. And that is specifically that as the coach who you are paying money to learn these manifestation techniques, there's no accountability on my part for you to ensure that you get results from the coaching. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, manifestation is your responsibility. It's the conversations you're having with your soul. It's the work that you're doing to improve your mindset. I gave you the tools, and now it's up to you to make them work for you. So if you pay me and you don't get results, oh, sorry, not my problem, is what we tend to see in most circumstances. Allegedly, again, in my opinion.
Yes.
So
For
can you
sure.
only do this with your spirit baby, or like can you tell your guides to help you manifest?
Guides are hard because guides, again, they will. Okay, I'm going to use COVID as an example.
Okay.
When COVID was going around, I didn't want to get it. So obviously, who did?
Understandably.
Who did? Who wanted to get it? So every day, I would go, I'm an energetic match for COVID. If I got a no, I'd be like, cool. If I got a yes, I'd be like, why? I dive into my emotions of like what emotionally would make me a match to physically manifest it. I'd shift the emotions, Catherine, before I would even have to get fucking COVID. You can only do that through higher self, though. Guides won't tell you that because guides will just have you get COVID. They'll lie to you and say you're not a match for it when you are, so you can get it and get the lesson that way. But if you direct your question to higher self, you can bypass. Higher self tells you the future, source doesn't.
Yeah.
So you can bypass all of it. So I can get the lesson of what COVID would have taught me without me having to get COVID or anything. You can bypass rejection. You can bypass pitching an idea and it not getting picked up by looking at, am I a match for this to get picked up? If not, why? Let me shift it now so I don't even have to get rejected in the first place.
Wait, I must have missed that. But how do you learn the lesson then? If I don't get the thing, how do I learn the lesson that I would learn from getting the thing? I must have missed something. Welcome, Lori. Welcome, Juliet. Don't worry, you're not too late. We haven't learned how to manifest anything yet. So bring your good vibes, because if you have a bad attitude, you're going to have some problems. I actually have a question. I am child-free by choice. So if I don't have a spirit baby that I can talk to help me manifest my $1 million, what am I supposed to do? I wish I saw the Q&A so I could ask that question, because I'm feeling a little left out here listening to this, thinking that I got to manifest through this spirit baby. Like, what am I supposed to do if I don't want kids? Get pregnant just so I can manifest my $1 million? Like, what? Help!
So fucking good.
Intuition's the fucking hack to the fucking system.
Okay, is everybody psychic?
Yeah.
Okay. So are some people like, is it because maybe in their childhood it doesn't get turned off as much as others, that they then like, I'm imagining like the psychics that, you know, obviously, which we didn't even talk about, but if you want to share a little bit about your story of like how you knew that you're a medium by seeing, I think it was your grandpa at a funeral, right?
That and then another experience. Yeah.
So I've never had those experiences, or at least I don't remember having those experiences. I can see Orion having those experiences where we don't have, knock on wood, like dead family members, but that he would know of, or that I feel like would communicate with him. But I'm seeing him communicate with guides, spirit guides, whomever, beings, whatever. And he has comedians on the other side because they make him laugh nonstop, harder than I've ever made him laugh. And I'm so jealous. But I can see that he's talking to them because I can see his eye movements tracking someone. They're chasing each other. It's amazing.
Yes.
I don't remember having these experiences, but every single psychic session I've ever had, there's one significant one that I had where my mom would always book me in with a psychic. Like, she's just like, you're going to see
love
this
that about your mom.
Love her. So she's like, you need to get on this chick's calendar. She doesn't do virtual.
I'm so confused about what is happening. They lost me about 5 minutes ago, I think.
She's in LA right now, and she like sees all the celebrities, kind of like a Tyler Henry, but I forget her name. Not as big. Obviously, doesn't have like a Netflix special where everyone would know her. And so I went to her hotel room while she was in LA. That's where she was seeing clients. And she looked at me at the end of her session, and everything she was saying was accurate. She looked at me at the end of her session. She's like, I don't fully understand why you're here, though. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, you're more psychic than I am.
Like, you're far more psychic than I am. You should read me.
Yes.
And of course I
Yeah,
froze because we
I
talked
agree.
about this where I'm like, Ali, if you had me practice on you, like I said, I want to, learn more, like harness my intuitive gifts. And like, if you asked me to like read you once a week, I would probably freak out because it just shuts down.
Mhm.
And so of course it shut down in the moment. But then I was like, she started asking me questions about like her son. And then I was getting it right. She was like, can you tell me what's wrong with him? And I'm like, he's depressed. He just lost someone, whatever, like all of the stuff. And she's like, you're right, you're right, you're right. And so I would constantly be told this. And I'm just like in this place where I'm like, okay, so when is it going to turn on? Like I'm waiting for someone to push a button. I'm waiting for a
Yes.
button to be pushed. But what you're saying is it's a muscle.
It's a muscle.
Does everyone have to develop the muscle in the same way? Or are more people, they come in with a more developed muscle? Or like, what's the deal here?
Everyone has to develop it, because even if you have those experiences from childhood, I had zero control. I didn't know what I was reading. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how I was getting it. Yes, I picked up that my grandma had cancer, but if I tried to look in, if someone came to me and said, hey, do I have cancer? I'd have no idea how to look in on it. It's kind of like an untrained psychic just waits for things to come in channels.
Yeah.
A trained psychic and trained intuitive reads energy. Reading energy is different than channeling.
Amanda says, Amanda says, God, I've never felt so cooked before. Take me off the stovetop. I'm not well. This is too much. Honestly, I can't even follow this again. I'm like, I understand that I don't follow this kind of story. I'm not really into the woo. So for me, it's like, I'm just so far detached from this that I can't even understand what they're saying. I need like a translator to help. Sean says, I missed the last 2 streams. We have got to be rich by now, right? Well, actually, you're just in time, because today we're going to learn how to talk to our spirit babies and have them do the work of manifesting $1 million for us. So you're just in time. Phoenix says, this brings me back. Yeah. He's going to be our translator. So please let us know what the hell they're saying, because I'm so lost. I don't know what's happening. Also, can you imagine going to a psychic and then the psychic being like, you're more psychic than me. Read my future. I would be like, what the fuck? No, I just paid you $100. Like, what? Lewis says, this is extremely difficult to follow. What are they even talking about? I'm confused because this episode was supposed to be a Q&A, and the structure of it has not been a Q&A at all. I don't think they've answered a single question. I'm so confused.
Channeling's like the feminine, reading's like the masculine. So channeling is like the receiving. I'm getting chills even saying that. Channeling is like the receiving, and reading is like the masculine of like, I'm gonna go
Like
get
being
something.
intentional with it.
Being intentional, asking questions. Like if you ask me something, I'm not just gonna go.
It's
me
more
wait for it to
I see.
come.
It's more strategic.
It's
Masculine is
strategic.
strategic.
Yes.
Channeling is the feminine because it's just like you're just it's more
flowing.
passive. Not that saying feminine is passive, but it's a more passive mechanism.
Passive. It can happen when you're
Yeah.
working out, when you're just whatever.
You're so
Reading
right.
is you're sitting in front of me and I'm going, okay, why is Catherine experiencing this? Let me dive in. Is it here? Let me ask this question. Okay, it's that, but like that's 60%. What's the other part of it? And I'm like asking questions to then get my intuitive answers.
Yeah. Okay. How did you learn to how did you master your intuition? Like, how did you gain control over it?
Yes. So long story short, I had these few experiences when I was younger. I talked to my grandfather's funeral and then predicting illness in my grandma before she knew about it. And then 2 weeks later, she ended up getting cancer. I was like, Mom, Grandma has cancer. My mom was like, no, she doesn't. 2 weeks later, she found out she did. I thought nothing of it. Then in high school, I start hearing people's thoughts. I start knowing what's wrong with people when they're not telling me anything. And I'm like, I'm fucking weird. Bye. Get me out of here. I'm not doing that shit. Trained in pro dancing, took me to LA. I'm in LA. I'm broke. Don't have a car. I'm 19. I live in North Hollywood. I need my hair done.
NoHo, baby.
NoHo.
I
We
lived in
figured out
NoHo.
We lived in NoHo at the same
Yes,
time.
At the same time. Like a few streets over.
A few streets over.
Yeah.
That's fucking
wild.
weird in itself.
Wild.
We've probably passed each other on the street.
How old are you now?
28.
28.
How old are
I'm
you? 30?
31.
31.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I need my hair done. I go to the hair salon and I'm like, hey, can you put me with somebody who does blondes? He puts me with this girl, Caitlin. And I start word vomiting to her, Catherine. I've never told anyone this shit at this point. I'm 19. I'm so embarrassed. I care about dance and being a pro famous dancer. I don't care about this shit. So I'm telling her, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm word vomiting onto you. She smiles and she goes, I know why. And I'm like, what the fuck? She's like, I need you to meet my intuitive healer. I'm like, whatever. That sounds weird. But I go. At the time, Al, my teacher, used to teach these in-person classes. We just sit around on a fucking yoga mat in a workout studio.
Sorry, I'm trying to read the chat and listen. I just saw that the Burton channel says, nice to be here, first time. And to that, I just wanted to say this.
Now you are one of us.
Welcome to complete chaos, nonsense. I don't know what's happening, but one piece of advice I do have for you to remember as we continue on with this stream is this.
Have you really got that you are God?
You are God, so just remember that as we move through this word salad.
It was like so random. I walk in, it's Sunday night, see held them. I walk in, Caitlin's like, Allie, this is Al. And I'm like, hey, don't know what I'm doing here.
Just gonna sit on a yoga mat.
Just gonna sit on a yoga mat. Al starts talking about like self-image, that you can, if you think you're great, other people think you're great. Like if you heal your self-image and you heal your trauma, you can get what you want. I'm thinking I cracked the code to be a famous dancer. I'm gonna heal my self-image and then I'm gonna book all the dance jobs.
Yeah.
Well, little did I know, I keep going to those classes. Then I'm like looking at the fucking clock and dance. I'm on my dream dance job with a pop artist and I'm miserable. And I'm like, wait a fucking minute. I'm like getting all these, I'm booking work. It's not like I wasn't booking work either. And I'm like, I fucking hate this. I literally do a session with Al because I'm like, Al, I don't know what's going on in my life. He goes, yeah, you're done dancing.
Who's Al? I must have missed that. Who's Al?
Al has no emotion. So Al,
You're done.
Al
You're
is
finished.
neutral about everything. So Al doesn't care if you're sad or upset. He just goes, yeah, no, you're done. He doesn't try and like save your feelings.
Yeah. It's kind of like my shaman. He's very
Yes.
similar. He just
Yes.
will tell it like it is. I mean, he does a lot of, I feel like he works more like a spirit guide, not in the lying sense, but he
Yes.
really wants you to get your own lessons
Yes.
instead of just telling you like it is. So sometimes it'll come with some weird like puzzles that you're gonna have to
Some weird,
solve.
like, cryptic.
It's
like,
very cryptic
yes.
and how and sometimes he'll straight up be like, we need to heal you on that, or like that needs to stop, or blah 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 blah. Not like telling you what to do.
Yes.
But it comes so emotionless.
Yes. Yes. So because they've trained themselves to just see the balance in the world, which I'd
Yeah.
love to go into later. But like they've trained themselves to just see the balance in the world. So like nothing's good or bad. And so he said that to me. I resonated on a soul level. My human freaked out because I'm like, who the fuck am I without dance? I lived, slept, and ate and breathed dance. And so I just started healing my self-image. I started healing trauma. I started to feel better. I started working. Like I could be around my dad again. I could like talk to him and he wouldn't trigger me. And I could do all these things. I was like, this is interesting. So then Al's holding like an intuition course. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. Like I'll go.
Wait. So Al is her yoga teacher. Al tells her to quit her career as a dancer. And she just says, okay, and quits? Like, what is happening? Amanda says, God, imagine training your whole life in dance just to throw it away for this pursuit. You know what? Maybe you're just jealous that you pursued your career. Oh my God, this is nuts. Al was her intuitive healer. Okay, and so she's just blindly following his advice. This is what I'm talking about, people. When we listen to people on the internet or apparently in real life, Northern Hollywood, be careful out there, who just like act like they know what they're talking about and we follow them blindly without practicing discernment, we throw away our entire career and just become psychics on the internet, apparently.
I'm like, I've had these weird things going on. I might as well like learn how to like, because he marketed it as like, you know, getting control of your fucking anxiety that you get when
Yes.
you go out into the world.
Yeah.
And so, because I would get panic attacks going to Starbucks, like, because all the energy overwhelmed. Couldn't go to concerts, couldn't do anything. So I go to this class and I'm like, holy fucking fuck balls. Like, this shit works. I'm reading other people. I'm reading myself. I start reading my friends for fun. And then it starts working. And then they're sending people to me. And then they're sending people to me. I'm like, I got to charge for this. I start charging. And it just, word of mouth was how my business started. And I had 500 followers on Instagram. I had no TikTok yet. I had no nothing, no email list. I was making $11,000 or more a month from word of mouth and my small Instagram following because I just fucking didn't care about money. And I loved it so much. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
And that's how I trained. My teacher was Al, and I trained heavily with him and honing in on my intuition. You need a coach for that.
Wait. So let me get this straight. This Al guy tells you, quit being a dancer. I'm going to teach you how to be a psychic. He trains you how to be a psychic. All of a sudden, you're making $11,000. Something doesn't make sense to me. Just saying.
That you can be naturally gifted all you want, but it's like a basketball player. You can be naturally gifted until you get a coach, until you know where you have to stand to like get the thing in the hoop every time and guarantee it 100%. You're not going to be using your gifts to the potential that they could be being used.
Now let me guess. This woman trains other people on how they also can become a psychic. Rather than actually being a psychic, let me introduce you to a new business model called Psychics Teaching Psychics How to Become Psychics. You thought coaches coaching coaches was one thing, but this is new. This is new age, if you will. Become a psychic to learn how to teach someone else to be a psychic, to learn how to teach someone else to become a psychic. You guys can all join my program. 1111 is the price. You just have to pay that to me 22 times. So 22 payments of 1111. PayPal linked in the description.
I just have to say that frequency in this room right now is so high. Like I'm getting, usually I start seeing like energy swirls around people when the frequency is at a certain level. I'm just like seeing your eyes and the rest is energy. Like that's it.
No, same. I'm like literally like shaking like because of the energy.
So my shaman said very similar things in that before I started working with him, he would say to like my friend James and be like, Catherine is incredibly gifted.
You are.
But she needs guidance.
Yeah.
And so that's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
It's like you can be talented in basketball, but you're still going to get a coach.
Yes.
Like there's no single basketball player out there. And my husband, of course, in the room loves this analogy right now. He's all about the sports analogies. Hi, Brennan.
Hey, Brennan.
But like they all have coaches.
Yeah,
you don't
they
see
do.
any of them just go rogue. Like there's no team out there that's going rogue. They all have coaches.
They all have coaches. Gymnasts, Olympic athletes, they all have coaches. And if you ever think you're too good for a coach, that's a whole ego death that has to be had because the best people have, I have so many chills. The best people have coaches.
That's literally not true. The fact that they're conflating being an energy healer and needing, or like a regular person and needing a coach, with professional athletes needing a coach, not the same. I also think there's a discussion to be had about like what defines a coach in the context of sport versus a like life coach or business coach or intuitive coach. Like those are not the same thing. Because when we think a lot about like life coaching specifically, and we say like the definition of coaching is to ask powerful questions to encourage people to find their own answers. When we think of like a sports coach, at least in my experience, actually tells you what to do. Many of you, especially if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen I've been taking gymnastics lessons for the last like 2 months, and I have a gymnastics coach. And my coach tells me what to do. I go up to him and I say, I took this video. Why do my legs look like that? How do I fix it? And then he shows me drills that I can do to fix it. His job as my coach is to teach me what to do. In the context of like life coaching, I don't really think the role of a coach in that context is to tell you what to do. And so we can't say that because professional athletes are successful and they have coaches, therefore everyone else should also have a coach. And only successful people have coaches. Like that's literally not true. Many people in business might have mentors that they rely on or get advice from. But I also know many successful people in business that don't have that. And so to say that the only way to be successful is to hire a coach, I want you to ask yourself the source of who's telling you that. These people both sell coaching. So obviously they're going to want you to believe that your ticket to success is to hire a coach. No duh. Yeah, sports coaches also have rules and regulations they have to follow. Ain't that the truth? Yeah, everyone needs a coach or else you're egotistical. So because I, Danielle Ryan, am saying on the internet that I don't believe everyone needs a coach, that's just my ego talking, guys. So I'm just really full of myself. That's why I don't believe in it. Just make sure you write that down. This reminds me of this quote from Stacey Bayman, our bestie.
I'm always baffled when people don't have a life coach or don't want one. I'm like, what? It's the most amazing thing ever.
Having a life coach is like the best and most amazing thing ever. I don't get it.
Yeah. The best people found someone that they resonate with, that they can learn from. Yeah. And it's what they say sticks. Yeah. And they have coaches. And so if you ever think like, oh no, I'm good enough at this, like, no. I've been doing intuition 9 years training in this, and I still go to Al to keep up leveling myself. There's never, the more you know, the more you don't know.
For sure.
Or you've developed a codependent relationship where you think you can't be successful without him. Because more often than not, I think that's what we see specifically in the like coaches coaching coaches industry is essentially, in my opinion, again, it is designed to keep you reliant on having a coach. Like you are led to believe this specific narrative that if you do not hire a mentor or a coach, you are never, or you're not going to be able to sustain your success. I think in no other industry do we see this sort of like story being told. Yes, it might be recommended at certain points throughout your career. It might be valuable to up-level your skill set or learn this new skill or try this other thing or get advice from this person. But nowhere else do I see, like a dentist, for example, being told that you need to be getting mentorship from another dentist who is more successful than you in order for your practice to succeed. Like, yes, at certain points throughout your career, it might be helpful to find a dentist more senior than you that you can get advice from or ask certain questions to. But your success as a dentist in your private practice is likely not dependent on you consistently paying someone to coach you in how to have a successful business. There should become a point in time where you've learned enough and you've figured out enough that you can at least sustain yourself on your own. Otherwise, we're just fostering this weird dependency that, in my opinion, again, is really just trying to financially benefit one of the two in the party. So always a red flag when someone says you need to have mentorship forever. I think just like therapy, the end goal should be that you're eventually able to sustain yourself on your own.
Sure.
You know?
100%. Like, I know I'm going to be with my shaman for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And like, he's a Don, which is like, I'm assuming it's like a Latin American or South American, or he's Mexican, but like
Yeah.
they have like something called Don. It's like a title.
Okay.
And so when you reach a certain hierarchy, you get the title Don plus
Mhm.
your name. So his name is Don Javier. And so he has a Don, and his Don has a Don, and his Don has a Don, and their Don has a Don, and they all have a Don. And it's all their information, all of their teachings, all of the
Yes.
things. Like they naturally come into the world as a shaman, but then they're integrated with their
Yes.
Don. And then the Don, you know, passes on, they're a Don, then they find their Don, and so on.
Yes.
And so it feels like this makes sense in so many different contexts. Like it makes sense because I know that there's a part of our ego that goes, well, at some point I should stop having a teacher or stop having a coach or stop whatever. But it's just not how things work.
And I want to tell you guys something about why Catherine's so
But that is how things work, and that's how things should work. There should reach a point where you no longer need to have a coach or the same coach. Like for her to say, I'm going to have the same shaman for the rest of my life. That's scary. Can you imagine? Just think about this objectively outside of the context of this specific person. But let's just say there's someone that you look up to and you want to pay them money to teach you how to do whatever. Imagine then fostering a relationship where for the rest of your life, you're going to continue to pay that person to guide you. How is that an environment that's conducive to you growing as an individual if you're constantly taking your advice from one single person? This is why I will not get off my frickin' soapbox about the power of networking and building connections outside of the coaching industry with peers either in the same industry as you or adjacent to you that you can ask for feedback from. Because the most valuable relationships in my life are from different individuals where I can say, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, what do you think of this? And all of these people have different life experiences and different businesses and different feedback that they can provide me that then allows me to use my own discernment to figure out which pieces of advice I'm going to take, because sometimes the advice they give me isn't applicable to my scenario, and I can pick and choose and then develop myself as my own individual. If I'm constantly going to the same person for feedback and insight and information on how to grow as an individual, I'm just going to become a carbon copy of them because I'm just blindly following whatever they say. It's so fucking scary.
successful is because
Please, Allie.
how many compliments do you want? Because I could keep going. You
Also, Sean wants everyone to know that Don is a reference of respect when one is older in Hispanic culture, and Doña is for women. So it doesn't actually mean anything like necessarily of like a credential so much as just their age, apparently.
Truly, always, you find the people who are really good at their field and you learn from them.
Yes.
And then you tie it into your own thing and then you make it your own. But then you also have your own unique thing. But like you don't have this ego of like, oh, I can't learn from you because you don't make what I make. Or I can't learn from you because blah, blah, blah. Like you see the talents here and that person, the talents here and that person, the talents here and that person. And you are really good at intuitively like doing that and honing in on those things. And someone asked me actually, like as a genuine question, the first time I had Al on my podcast, they said, aren't you nervous? I'm like, what? Like, well, that's your mentor. Aren't you afraid everyone's going to go to him?
Oh, I hate this mindset so much.
Actually, no.
It's a
because
scarcity mindset.
It's a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm a completely different person than Al. He's a completely different.
You guys couldn't be more different.
We couldn't be more different. Me and you are completely different people. Like me and you could be saying the exact same thing, but because it's coming from you and because it's coming from me, it's going to resonate with a whole different group of people.
Amen.
There is no competition. Competition does not exist. I can't take your soul contract. You can't take fucking mine. And you know this. This is for the audience, but like you can't out manifest. Like if someone manifested money, before you, they didn't manifest all the money of the world and take it from you, You know
what's funny? Like, I'll take your courses and you're in my courses, and it's like, you can literally say something that I teach. And when I hear you say it, I'm like, oh my God, no way. That's how it works. Like,
No,
my shaman
literally.
will literally say the law of attraction is the most powerful law in the universe. And I'll go, what?
Yes.
The law of attraction? And it's like, I never stopped being a student.
No, me either. Because I was listening to Song for Money and I texted you about this, but you said something about free will, and which like, I know, but then when you said it, I was like, oh my God, Catherine, I just had the biggest epiphany from this episode.
I remember that.
Yes. And like, I literally like, you can learn from each other. Nothing's ever original. Like you're either channeling it, you're picking it up from someone, you're making it your own, and everyone's the fucking best. I'm the best.
Can
You're
you
the best.
talk about that? Because that was a mindset I forgot. I think it was in Glow Formula that you talked about. And I'm about to get a hair out of my eye. So
Please
my eyes
do.
are so watering, but
Mine
I'm
are
going to let you
too.
start talking. I literally have a hair in my eye. It's like, holy shit. Explain the I'm the best thing. Because at first, like if you're looking at it from a certain perspective, you could be like, God, that's so egotistical, but it's actually the least egotistical like mindset to have in the way that you explain it. Can you please explain this? Because this has to do with self-image, and that's the next thing I want to just briefly touch on before we dive into this like woo-woo shit that I want to get into. Like, what the fuck is self-image? Because you've said this word at least 100 times by now as well.
Yeah. Self-image is the way that you perceive yourself and the way that you perceive other people to see you.
Yeah.
So what happens is, again, our thoughts create our beliefs get programmed into our creator field. Our creator field determines what we're getting back from people of the world. So a key telling sign that maybe self-image isn't as high as your higher self would like it to be is if you find people aren't valuing you in relationships, in career, in life. If you find people, maybe you start talking and they talk over you and you get annoyed by that, like it makes you triggered, like not just like neutral, like it actually makes you feel like they're not listening to
The
what I'm
end of the
saying.
world.
Yes, yes. Those are some telling signs that self-image might not be where higher
I mean, isn't it a natural human instinct to get annoyed when someone speaks over you? I don't think that has to do with my self-image. It's kind of rude.
self wants it to be. Self-image is so important because it is the key to fucking life. Who the fuck is going to buy what you're selling or see your value in any area of life with whatever it may be if you don't? Who? Because they won't, because if you don't see it, it's not in your creator field, and the world responds to your creator field, your electromagnetic field. And so I've talked to a lot of souls all the time, every day. So what I found is everyone's the fucking best. I'm the best at being Allie. There's no other Allie. Catherine's the best at being Catherine. There's no other Catherine. Catherine and me can say the same fucking thing. We could go and teach the same exact course word for word, Catherine, and it would be different, and it would resonate with different people because we have different stories, we have different looks, we have different voices, we have a different way of explaining things.
Different life experience.
Different life experiences.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the flavor is different.
The flavor is different.
Yeah.
And
the meal could be the same. Like everyone can make
Yes.
mac and cheese, but
Yes.
everyone has a different flavor to it.
100%. Yeah. And when you understand your self-image, and I have a lot of tools for this, but one of them that you can take home and practice is it is scientifically, metaphysically impossible to see in other people what we don't have in ourselves. So if you find yourself going, oh my God, they're so funny, I can never be that funny.
According to what? According to who is it scientifically, metaphysically impossible to see in other people what we don't have in ourselves? That doesn't even, no. Show me the studies before you make claims like this, lady.
Or, oh my God, they are such a good businesswoman, like now I'm mad at them and now I can't do it. Or, oh my God, they wrote a book, now I can't write a book. No, you are seeing their zone of genius. You literally, metaphysically, scientifically could not see it unless that existed within you. And so you're witnessing it, just like how Have you ever had a friend talk shit about another friend?
So are you telling me that every single person that I watch in the Olympics, the only reason I can see that on my TV is because scientifically, metaphysically, that's available to me? Guys, I could have been an Olympian simply because I watched the Olympics on my TV. You heard it first. You watching this, you could have been an Olympian too if you watched it on TV, because you wouldn't be able to see it if it wasn't possible for you. Lady, this doesn't make any sense. Hello, Earth is calling. We're wondering if you're ever coming back down.
And the friend's like, oh my God, they're so needy. And then you're thinking about that friend like, wait, you're needy?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
And
yeah.
because you can't experience in anyone else what we don't have.
Yeah.
So, and this goes both ways, both positive and negative. So,
Okay, she's conflating something different though, because I think what she's talking about here is like when you see a trait in someone else that you find annoying, usually that's because you do that thing. Like if you hang out with someone and you're like, oh my God, this person never shuts up, it's probably because you have that same habit. But that's something different. Like this doesn't make sense, lady. It has nothing to do with science and what's metaphysically possible.
if you're going, oh my gosh, they're so talented and gifted, you have that. So your self-image tool that I'm going to give you today is, where do you have that? So if you see a piano player playing piano beautifully and you're like, oh my God, they're such a creative songwriter. Doesn't mean that you're a songwriter. Maybe you are, but doesn't mean that you're that. It means whatever you do, whatever your zone of genius is, you're equally that creative. And so when's the last time you can remember being that creative? Affirmations, don't work unless we emotionally connect. So we've actually got to turn it to a brain reprogramming statement. We go find the micro moment of the last time we remember being creative.
Sorry,
we literally.
I was reading. Did I read Lewis's comment or no? Did you guys hear that? Sorry, I was yelling at Google and then I got distracted. So Lewis's comment here said, I see a lot of things in other people that I don't see in myself, to include unalivers. Absolutely agree. And then Zip said, probably good to have discernment between when someone achieving something closes the opportunity for you to do the same thing and when it doesn't. And to that, I also agree, because I feel like they are basically saying, you see someone do something, it means you can do it too. But sometimes, that's just not the case. I don't know. I don't like this conversation and I don't agree with what they're saying. That's all I said. Okay? I'll stop muting myself.
Our brain likes proof. We now start to slowly suffocate the old neural pathways where we're beating ourselves up, judging, jealous, whatever. And we start to build new ones of praising ourselves, actually seeing our soul and all its contract. And the more you do that, you prove it by a memory of when you actually felt like that. Even if it was for like 2 fucking seconds, I don't care.
Mhm.
Prove it to yourself, emotionally connect. You've shifted. Do you do it again? You've shifted a little more. You do it again. You've shifted a little more. Before you know it, now you're getting your creator field aligned with your actual soul, with your soul attributes. Because our soul chose every single thing about us, down to what our pinky toenail looks like, down to the qualities you think holds you back. Everyone used to beat up on me for being a procrastinator. In high school, my mom used to be like, you're a procrastinator. Like, that's why you don't get good grades, blah, blah, blah. Teachers were like, you're never going to go to college. You're a procrastinator. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I was a people pleaser, so I tried. Maybe they're right. Like, I beat up on myself. I was like, I shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
Well, didn't get good grades. The only good grades I got was writing essays in English. Other than that, it was D's over here for me. But essays, it would be like A's. So one time I tried to not procrastinate. I ended up doing way worse. I got like a C, I think. When I write it the night before, I would get an A. In my self-image healing, I'd go, wait a minute. My soul chose the quality procrastinator. It chose it for me because it already knew my soul plan. It already knew I was going to create a business. It already knew these things. Well, nothing in the universe is positive or negative. Everything is both. So I was like, okay, what's the good part of being a procrastinator? I found 3 great things. Lights a fire under my ass. I work really well under pressure. I get shit done in what would take people 5 days and 5 fucking minutes. All qualities that I need to succeed and achieve what my soul came here to do. My soul chose it on purpose for a purpose.
Phoenix says, I love this lesson. I'm making sure I'm not muted. I love this lesson in neuroscience from Timu scholars. That's the vibe I'm getting, honestly.
So
I can't wait for part 2.
once you start to realize that, you start to unbecome and strip away these fucking toxic things, limiting beliefs that were never yours in the first place. And you get back to who your soul was. You start to understand why your soul chose it. And then you become in love with it. Like, I'm in love with the fact I procrastinate. I love it about myself. I'm the fucking best. You're the best. Brennan's the best. Everyone's the fucking best. And when you have a high self-image.
Okay, so they're going on about it's egotistical to think you don't need a coach. By the way, I sell coaching. And then they're saying, I'm the best, I'm the best, I'm the best. Make it make no sense. That's all I have to say.
You can also recognize that other people are also the best. If you don't, you have this thing of this limitation, and it's a human thing. I've experienced it. We've all experienced it. But you have this thing of like, oh, I don't want to compliment them because that takes away from me. We've all felt it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We've all felt it.
Yeah.
But when you do that healing, you realize, wait a minute, I can have my soul contract and I can create and manifest what I want to create and manifest. You can have your soul contract. You can create and manifest what you want to create and manifest. And everyone can just fucking win.
You are giving us the whole TED Talk right now. Like, this is so...
Yeah, I feel like they don't understand that they're openly contradicting themselves. Welcome to the channel. Cape 1990 just subscribed, and to this I just have one question.
Are you feeling happy? Are you feeling grateful? Are you feeling empowered? Are you feeling relief? Are you feeling, how does that feel?
How does that feel to finally be subscribed to my YouTube channel? Let me know. Lewis says, so we don't need a coach because our soul already chose everything we need and will become. Okay, then, exactly. It's like they say one thing and then 5 minutes later they say literally the opposite of what they just said. So which story is it? I'm very confused. I'm very lost. I'm very unsure. Do I need to spend all my money on a coach or do I not, because my soul contract already decided everything that was going to be true for me? I need to know. Someone tell me.
Fucking
go
good
on
Allie.
about this.
It's so funny because we've made it into 2 questions so far out of like a million. So I already know this is going to be like a 2-parter for sure.
For sure.
For anyone who's listening, I'm definitely going to break
What questions did they answer? I must have missed that part.
up this episode. Okay. Holy shit. You just gave us neuroscience 101, reprogramming 101. That was brilliant in how you said it. I feel like that's going to resonate with so many people. You just made it so simple. It really...
For the record, none of that was neuroscience. At least the neuroscience part, I didn't hear any. If you did, let me know in the comments which part was neuroscience, because I must have missed it.
It is so simple.
It's so simple.
It's so simple. We overcomplicate things for no reason. Okay. I want to dive into the questions, and I still have a hair in my eye. I have not found it, but it's okay. We're just going to move forward. Okay. I want to talk about, a lot of people are super into plant medicine nowadays. Okay. People get into ayahuasca, mushrooms, insert whatever plant medicine here. And I've definitely done I almost said fair share, but I really haven't done that much.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for many people, what appeals to me about plant medicine is that it's such an incredible way to bypass the ego, in the sense of like, I can go straight to the spirit world, gather information, gather what my blockages are, see myself at my highest potential. Like, I had incredible experiences when I did ayahuasca. I literally asked, what is my highest purpose? It showed me. I rebranded my whole website off of ayahuasca, and my business like took off from that point. It literally showed me so many cool moments that I had, clarity around my relationship, my husband. But I'm curious, because I have developed a slightly different opinion since I've done plant medicine that I haven't updated on my podcast. And we talked about this at dinner, and I said, Allie, I feel like I need to share my new perspective that I've learned since I started working with my shaman, because I did plant medicine before I started working with him. He's taught me a lot about like the reality of plant medicine, and like important things to keep in mind. And ever since then, I stopped recommending it. And I want to share the reason why. And I was telling you my hesitation in doing that and doing like my official update is that
Oh my God, cliffhanger ending, guys. What is she going to say about plant medicine? I can't wait to find out. Stay tuned. Monica said she did drugs, and Aaron said, no, plant medicine. Get it right.
Everyone wants to know about energetic boob jobs, because you talk about reverse aging, how aging is just a concept, how you can literally change your body by doing this work. And you've given yourself an energetic boob job. Your boobs are real, but they look fake. And I felt them. And I've had fake boobs. I know what they feel like. yours are 100% real. But they look fake and they
It's
look so
wild.
good. They're
Yeah.
like up, you know, they're just completely lifted up to the sky. You have amazing cleavage. How does one get in?
Monica says that was brain numbing. Well, we're not done. Now we're going to listen to part 2. And so far it's off to a really great start because we're learning about energetic boob jobs. So get those pens and papers ready, guys. It's about to get even better.
Energetic boob job.
If you could guarantee making your dream life your reality, simple power 7 years receives
Another episode of the Manifestation Babe podcast. We are back for part 2 of the Asking a Psychic Medium your juiciest down the rabbit hole questions with the amazing intuitive Ali Ninfo. If you didn't yet listen to part 1 of this episode, I'm not going to intro this one too much so we can just dive right in. But if you didn't yet listen to part 1 of this episode, definitely go back to part 1 so that you can. Okay, I want to talk about, a lot of people are super into plant medicine nowadays. Okay, people get into ayahuasca, mushroom.
Okay, I'm going to skip because they're just replaying what was clipped at the end of the last podcast.
Ayahuasca, I literally asked, what is my highest purpose? But I'm curious because I have developed a slightly different opinion since I've done plant medicine that I haven't updated on my podcast. And we talked about this at dinner. And I said, Ali, I feel like I need to share my new perspective that I've learned since I started working with my shaman, because I did plant medicine before I started working with him. He's taught me a lot about like the reality of plant medicine and like important things to keep in mind. And ever since then, I stopped recommending it. And I want to share the reason why. And I was telling you my hesitation in doing that and doing like my official update is that I don't want to give people like the problem without giving them a solution. So I don't want to tell them what could go wrong and then be like, but guys, my shaman has like a 3-year-long wait list and he recently closed it and not everyone can just go work with him because he has the hierarchy to help people with this, but not everyone else does. And so then you're like, well, Catherine, just send them to me because I can.
That is a red flag. To say that this one specific person is the only person that can help someone with problem XYZ. Red flag. It's like me telling you I have the secret to help you grow a business when I am not the only person that could teach you how to do that. She's a liar, allegedly, in my opinion.
Literally help people with this. So what is your take on plant medicine and why?
Great question.
Go off.
I'm going to go off. Okay. So a few different takes. One, the first one, the easier one to kind of understand, wrap your head around. I have this thing in me of I need to be self-sufficient. I do not want to rely on anything outside of me to access something or feel better. I don't want to rely on alcohol to calm down. I don't want to rely on a Xanax to not have a panic attack. I don't want to rely on me having to go to someone's house to sleep over because I'm scared. You know what I mean? I want to be able, a goal of mine, a soul mastery that I really desire to have, and it's not fully mastered yet by any means, but it's something that I really desire to keep cultivating, is an emotional mastery of like being able to, if I'm having a panic attack, get out of it in 0.1 seconds. Just this thing of emotional mastery. Or also, I need my intuition every day, all the time. I can't rely on a plant medicine experience to access that or to open up and lower the veil.
Wait until
that.
Yes.
Yeah. And what happens with that is, yes, you see things, but then there is a lack of, maybe not for you, someone who knows the right tools to use and has the right resources of reprogramming your brain, but a lot of people have an experience, but then they go home, they're like, okay, now what? And they don't have the tools to reprogram their brain. So that's my first thing is relying on anything outside of you. To me, it's not my vibe. I like to teach. You can have that same experience without it. Like people tell me what they see during it and I'm like, oh yeah, like I see that all the time.
My normal life.
It's my normal life. I see demons crawling on the ceiling. And, you know what I mean? Like, or I see, people go to like this blue realm and I'm like, oh, I've seen that.
Oh, the blue realm.
The blue realm, like where Orion goes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But I'm not special. Anyone can learn to see that themselves with the right tools. That's my first thing. The next thing is when we go to those things, when we take any kind of substance, alcohol, drugs, but also plant medicine, our energy gets burst the fuck open. Our energy is amongst all the dimensions, all the realms you can possibly think of. Realm 2 being one of them. We are in realm 3. Realm 2 is where like darker, heavier
Is that
energies.
like third dimension, second dimension kind of vibes? Like where does the 3 and 2 come from?
Kind of. That's a great question. I've just channeled it from source. Like, so when I see realm 2, it is like, it's hell doesn't exist. It's not hell, but it's like where darker
frequency.
entities live. Souls aren't there.
Monica's asking, so it's not okay to rely on other people? She said it's bad. No, I think she's talking about substances. I think she's saying like, You shouldn't use drugs. You shouldn't use alcohol. You shouldn't use plant medicine. You should learn how to fix all your own problems. So I guess what I'm learning from this podcast is that little baby Bubba here, who takes 40 milligrams of Prozac every morning, should really just learn how to solve his own anxiety problems, because the drugs are a no-no. That's what I'm learning. And she channeled it straight from the source. That is correct.
It's like darker entities that like to get on you, suck your light, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Realm 4 is where source is. We're in realm 3.
Okay.
So when we are doing this, we're blasting our energy open. Now, what happens with that is if we don't have dark force mastery and we don't know how to clear ourselves of these other energies, even just other people's energy that you're now taking on, it affects us 92%. 92% of your life and your day, between 92 and 97%, is not your own.
Again, show me the statistics. Where are we getting these facts from? Where's the study? I want to know. Where are we getting 92% from? Because that seems awfully specific. Especially when you're spewing woo-woo gobbledygook. Like, where are the facts? I want to see the scientific studies. Send them to me. Where are the receipts?
When you are not clearing off these energies, other people's energy, you are taking on 92 to 97% of other people's thoughts and energy and these dark things. And people leading these ceremonies will say they have dark force mastery, but the sage and the Palo Santo ain't working. The dark forces are going to smell it. They're going to be like, oh, you know, smells a little weird, but like, you're funny that you thought that was going to clear me.
Yeah.
And then they take advantage of the humans.
Yes.
And now why we should care about having those things on us is they can create massive mental illness, massive physical illness. They can fuck with your career. They can fuck with your relationships. Have you ever found yourself, maybe not you, but like listening, have you ever found yourself responding to your partner and you just have this rage and you don't even know fucking why?
Mm-hmm.
Probably a dark force. Have you ever found yourself like just in your career and it's just like, it almost feels like someone has a fucking curse on you?
Yeah.
Probably a dark force.
Yeah.
People come to me, they think they're bipolar. I go, no, you're not. You have a fucking demon in your brain. I clear it out. They're fine.
Holy shit. Did she? I need to listen to that again.
Career and it's just like, it almost feels like someone has a fucking curse on you.
Yeah.
Probably a dark force.
Yeah.
People come to me, they think they're bipolar. I go, no, you're not. You have a fucking demon in your brain. I clear it out. They're fine. I kid you not.
Julia, are you still here in the chat? Because what the actual is going on? That might be the most audacious thing I have ever heard in one of these live streams. You're telling me someone comes to you and says, I have bipolar disorder, and you say, no, you don't. You just have a demon in your brain. Like, what in the actual heck did I just listen to? I'm like upset, guys. That was crazy. Phoenix says there are a bunch of psychics and mediums that sell the idea that you can heal your physical and mental illness through energy healing. That is so freaking scary to think about. The harm that is going to be caused to individuals with real, verifiable, scientifically backed diagnoses in mental health, and telling them there's a demon in your brain and I can fix it for you. Like, what the actual fuck? I don't think I'm ever going to recover from this. Incredibly dangerous, despicable behavior. 100%. Poor. I'm poor because of my bad mindset. Yeah, what is happening? That's extremely minimizing to people who have that diagnosis and live with it every day. Not to mention, incredibly dangerous. Like, just get, because remember, she already said she wants to foster a life where she's not dependent on Xanax and drugs and alcohol. So I can only imagine she would be advising people to, oh, don't take your medication. You can just heal it with your positive mindset. And that's a story I've been told many times before, people being encouraged to stop taking their medication. There was a woman I interviewed a couple months ago now. I'm trying to think. I don't know what the title of the video is, but the thumbnail is like minus $160,000 because that's how much money she ended up spending. Anyway, in that interview, this woman basically shares how she had a spiritual guide of some sort who encouraged her to stop taking her medication for bipolar. So this is really just bringing back those memories. Completely awful. This is so dangerous.
People who have gone through like a program of mine where I like do this work in it, offer antidepressant medicine. Her name's Michaela. Shout out to Michaela if you're listening. In 3 months, and she was on it for 10 years and in therapy for 10 years trying to figure out her shit because she got to clear herself. These things cause massive mental illness. You have them. And even if you think, oh, I just won't think about it, they're there whether you realize it or not. Ignorance is maybe not bliss with this, because even if you say, oh no, I have angels around me, I have light. Angels want you to learn lessons. Angels want you to master your mastery.
Dark
forces. Yeah. Your higher self also wants you to gain a grip on your reality. It also wants you to learn lessons. They won't protect you from this stuff because higher self sees things as a very different perspective.
Well, it's not
and
seen
lens.
as a bad thing.
It doesn't see it as a bad thing.
lesson. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you can say you have all the protection you want, but again, Source and angels have their hands out of our lives anyway, because Source sees everything as like the human has the power. And so our higher self will let these things in so we can get lessons. And so we can eventually, over the years, over the lifetimes, learn about this stuff and take our power back. It's programmed into movies, into media, into music. It's everywhere. So whether you think you have it on you or not, you probably do. If you're listening to this podcast, you're definitely a light being. If you're a light being, you definitely have them on you, and they're definitely taking over your brain.
Like moths to a flame.
Yep, like moths to a flame.
I've noticed that the more I've developed the more I've gone down the rabbit hole of spirituality, the more that I have developed my spiritual gifts, especially in the beginning, not so much now, but in the beginning, weird shit happened.
Yeah.
Like I could see things.
Yeah.
I had to learn how to fight things off. And at the time I had nobody teaching me.
Mhm.
Like
I'm so sorry, Erin. I'm sorry that happened to you. This is like so incredibly triggering. This episode, not your comment, but that is just so awful. Juliet says, my fear would be someone with bipolar believing this and it's scaring them fixating on it, and it leads to psychotic symptoms. 100%. So fucking awful.
intuitively had what you would call a demon come and try to take over me, like like wanted to come down my throat. And I actually talk about this in a podcast episode. If you're an OG, it's like years ago that I recorded this, so you probably heard it. If not, you're gonna have to scroll for a little while. But I had this experience, and intuitively, I only had my intuition to work with. I just started screaming at the top of my lungs, just like very I took on a very commanding like presence, because we are the most powerful. And I just started chanting, I am love. I am love, over and over and over again. And I noticed that at first it got stronger, and it started changing my voice. Like I can't even make that sound. That's how I know this is real. My voice doesn't go that low. It's like, I am love. Like I can't even do it. And then I just persisted with it. And eventually, and then I saw, like, I sent it to the light, to like, I literally called on Jesus at one point. Like I just was calling on like the most powerful, like spiritual beings I, know to exist, the ascended masters and things like that, and God and source and whatever. And then went away. And that was crazy. That was nuts. It doesn't happen as often anymore. In fact, it hasn't happened in a while. But I just know that as a light being, as you open yourself up to more things, you also need to understand that you have to protect yourself as well. That there is such thing as dark forces. I used to be in the line of thinking that it's like, no, there's no such thing as evil, or no such thing as dark forces. And as I started working with like a very powerful shaman, he's like, no, bitch, there are dark forces, and spiritual warfare is real. Yeah. But they don't have the power that light beings do. No. Only when you forget about your own power do they have the power to then mess with you. Yes. Okay. I want to share my, sorry, I just cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say, and knowledge is power with that stuff. Yeah. Like the more people think, oh, if I don't listen, then
this is not knowledge. This is nonsense. Okay. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. These people are making me really angry.
Was instant hell, like dark. You talking about? I literally went to hell. That was
not what I saw.
nuts, right? Nuts. Her
Not-
line, but I intuitively picked up a year. And then she said breath work. And like, that's what I like, not recreationally.
Okay, let's just skip to like 20 minutes. Maybe we'll get into the boob job part.
With someone who doesn't have that hierarchy. And so my fear in all this was like, well, how am I supposed to know if they have the hierarchy? There's no way of telling. Like they can say whatever they want. Like what might be like in many ways harmful if you do it with someone who doesn't know what they're doing. You don't know how to clear those dark forces.
Okay, so now we're back to the plant medicine. This is why we shouldn't do plant medicine.
And reintegrate yourself. And he said that if you leave pieces of yourself behind, you're fine for now. But in like 10, 20, 30 years, it can manifest, like you said, as mental illness.
Yep.
It can manifest as cancer. It can manifest as just your life going to shit.
Yep.
And so I'm like, Allie, I don't have a solution for people. So I've never really shared this perspective before. And you were like, Catherine, I have a solution. So what's the solution, Allie?
Have you ever had that nagging feeling?
And here's an ad for my coaching program that you should absolutely buy because I have really good advice and definitely not harmful or dangerous at all. So give me all your money. Blah, 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 blah.
You want to do it for other people or whether you just want to do it for yourself, anyone should learn it to do it for at least themselves. All energy work is guiding light into cells. And so you can learn how to retrieve your own soul, retrieve your own energy, retrieve all the missing parts of your chakras. You can learn how to clear off these entities and rituals and groups of people targeting shit at you. You can learn how to clear these things off yourself, just knowing how. And I have a course called Fuck Dark Forces.
I literally saw it on your
Very on
website
brand.
today. Like, this is so on brand. Like, it wasn't there a couple days ago, but today it's here. And I'm so glad you have that because I feel like it's such a valuable life skill, regardless of plant medicine or not.
Yeah.
Just because you said this thing at dinner all about rituals. What the fuck is that? Like, and then one of the questions I have here is like, are curses, hexes, like those things real? And how do we get rid of them? And like, what are rituals?
Okay, so rituals are, now before I go into this, just because we wouldn't do something harmful to people doesn't mean there's not people out there who won't.
Right.
So this can sometimes be a like mind-blowing.
I would argue, and again, this is alleged, this is just my silly little opinion as a random lady on the internet. I would argue that you spewing this nonsense and then charging people thousands of dollars, presumably, actually is inflicting harm upon other people and using your powers for evil. But what do I know? I'm just a dumb little internet hater troll, so.
Like hard concept to wrap our minds around because anyone listening to this podcast obviously has great intentions for the world. That doesn't mean that everyone does though. So there are people who are so hungry for power, for money, for fame. They're so deeply insecure. And a lot of times Source does not have the, they don't have the contract.
Source does not have
Through Source to be able to get the money, get the fame, get the whatever, right? Most people aren't supposed to even be famous in Hollywood. That's not part of their soul contract. So if they can't get it through Source and they don't have the ability to create and manifest like, you do, then they get it through disconnecting from Source, which is essentially selling their soul. Now, disconnecting from Source.
Okay, so you're telling me you're wealthy because you manifested it, but other people who are wealthy because they sold their soul and did whatever it took. It's like they're saying the quiet part out loud, but they're not really recognizing that they're kind of talking about themselves, allegedly, in my opinion.
Source is not being atheist or just not believing. That's very different. That has no like soul karma. If you they have to purposely disconnect from Source, purposely. And how they do that.
Is that an actual contract they sign? Is that a ritual? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, it's through a sacrifice, which then leads me into rituals. So it's through a sacrifice.
Ooh.
They sacrifice a loved one. They sacrifice an animal. They sacrifice babies. I mean, it's wild.
And this is what happens in Hollywood?
This is what happens in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. I have clients who have like got out of Hollywood and I've heard about it firsthand. When I lived there, I had friends in it. I heard about it firsthand through them. It is wild.
This is like, there's a whole conspiracy theory about this, that all of the rich celebrities are in like this secret inner circle, like the Illuminati kind of thing. Stupid. Okay, I'm skipping again. I don't want to listen to this. Boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. 35 minutes, let's see. I want the boob job part.
On them as a lesson to get them where their soul wants to go quicker. So like, I'm glad that no one cleared me when I was younger because I could see these things and it made me really immune to them at a young age. So now I can see them and I'm like, oh, whatever. 'Cause
So
if
when you
you're-
see demons crawling
I
on the
can't-
walls,
yeah.
you're just like, okay,
No, yeah,
Good night.
it doesn't phase me. I clear them and I'm like, okay,
everyone have a good night.
bye.
Bye. Okay. Oh my.
Exactly, Phoenix. That's what I'm hearing. Phoenix says, other people just sell their soul, but since God told me this money was mine, I did it the right way. Because I manifested it. So I didn't harm anyone in the process of manifestation. My soul baby made me this money. Phoenix also says the spiritual community is very enmeshed with the conspiracies and QAnon. Yeah, that checks out.
Oh my gosh, I'm just scrolling through my phone with these massive amounts of questions. Okay, so we've been talking a lot about, like, you know, just ask their higher self, blah blah blah. For a newbie that wants to start accessing their intuition, what's like the most basic tool? Like someone today, they decide right now as they're listening, they want to use their intuition.
Yeah.
And then I have a really good question to follow this up too.
Okay, love. I have 2 different yes or no tools that I can give them.
Okay.
So yes and no intuitive answers. So number 1, it's important to know that intuition's only as good as the questions you ask. So there's a difference between eating salmon's good for me versus eating salmon today for dinner is good for me, right? Because eating salmon is good for me. Well, what the fuck? Like maybe sometimes yes, maybe sometimes no. Like that answer is going to get so wonky. You want to be so specific. Eating wild caught organic salmon tonight for dinner is good for me. Because even if you say salmon, well, what we talked about this, like the farm salmon isn't good for you.
Yeah,
you know, like wild caught, right?
Fuck farm salmon.
Fuck farm salmon. We need a PSA about don't eat farm salmon.
we had a whole lecture, you guys. There's a woman that we sat next to in Sedona at local juicery, and she went off about the fisheries.
She was not
and which
fucking
fish
around.
to eat, which fish not to eat. Just like, she went off. And the biggest takeaway was like, don't eat tuna, don't eat farm salmon.
Yes.
Yeah.
We learned do not eat farm salmon. So even just saying salmon, I don't know. You know what I mean? Is it farmed? Is it wild caught? Like your higher self doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
So to get the most accurate answers, you have to be so specific. So eating, and I will say it in statements versus asking a question because it's even more clear. Eating wild caught organic salmon for dinner tonight is going to get me to my health and fitness goals the quickest. Then you can get a clear yes or no. That's very specific. Once you form your question, I want you at home to practice something right now. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say to yourself, doing cocaine is good for me. Doing cocaine is good for me. Doing cocaine is good for me. It's going to be a no. So just heads up.
a PSA.
PSA, it's going to be a no. I want you to feel in your body where that no feeling is. Once you get that, we'll test a yes. So drinking alkaline water is good for me. Drinking alkaline water is good for me. See where you feel that in your body. That's going to be your body's intuitive yes. Now, some people, depending on the relationship they have with their body, could be disconnected from their body. So I'm going to give you one other way if that doesn't work for right now. You just need to practice that for it to work. But if it doesn't work right now, pick like your top 3 favorite colors and pick your top 3 like colors that would be a no. Like to me, red's a no. I like to wear red, but if I see red, it's like a no to me.
Okay.
Boring, boring, boring. I'm not doing this. I'm sorry. If you want to learn, listen to this on your own time. I'm bored. I don't want to learn how to be a psychic. I'm not interested.
Would be a no to you. And then whatever color you see first, so then that would be your yes. So
Intuition. What's the difference between intuition and fear? Like, how do you know you're just being in a pattern of fear? And that's why you're being told not to do that thing or go that direction or take that flight versus your soul, your intuition, your intuitive abilities, whatever, heart, whatever you want to call it, saying, that's not a good idea.
Good question. So in order to even have your intuition be as good as you want it to be, you've got to gain emotional mastery, which is calming down your nervous system.
Oh,
a
so good.
lot of us think our intuition is our emotions. It is not at all. If you are even with something exciting that's happening, if you are any kind of emotional, you're emotionally manipulating your intuition big time. And our emotions are very strong. They can convince us very much that something is good or bad or don't get on the flight or this is going to be so life-changing. Then it turns out to not be or whatever it is. So my emotional breath pattern, not mine, sources, I channeled this from source. And it's like, I was like, what is a optimal breath pattern to calm down the nervous system? It's breathe in for 6, hold for 2, out the mouth for 8. And from source, I'm not a breathwork person, but like don't come after me. That's just what source said. Okay?
That's literally the pattern I do.
Is it?
When I do nervous
Shut
system
the fuck up.
regulation, I stopped making decisions from any sort of emotion because I used to be under the guise of like, if I'm feeling excited about it, that's a good sign. But actually, I've made a lot of wrong decisions from excitement because I'm taking other people's excitements. Other people are excited about an idea. I get excited because they're excited. And then I fucking resent the activity, the agreement, whatever it was. I'm like, why did I agree to do this? I want no part of it. I want nothing to do with it. Why?
So you fell prey to FOMO and you didn't know how to trust your own decisions. That's what I'm hearing. This isn't fucking revolutionary. If you want to do something, think about it. Do I actually want to do this thing or not? If you can't stop thinking about it, then you probably actually want to do it. If you feel annoyed at the idea of having to do it, then you probably don't want to do it. There you go. Solved it for you. Saved you guys 50 minutes of listening to this complete BS for no reason. Ah!
Work first, or else it won't work. I'm not having my name on the fucking line of it not working.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, we're not doing that. So before we even go into this, in order for any kind of physical manipulation to work, you gotta love it before you change it. You have to genuinely love it before you change
How
it.
do you genuinely love it before you change it? Everyone's going to
question.
be asking that question.
Okay, here we're talking about the boob job. I'm going to go back a little bit.
One time, Andrea, she was like, you should just sell the energetic boob job. And I said, no, I can't do that. That only comes at the end of Glow Formula after you do the inner healing work first, or else it won't work. I'm not having my name on the fucking line of it not working.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Like, we're not doing that. So before we even go into this, in order for any kind of physical manipulation to work, you gotta love it before you change it. You have to genuinely love it before you change
How
it.
do you genuinely love it before you change it? Everyone's going
question.
to be asking that question.
Good question. So seeing why your soul chose it. So like,
Agree. Monica says, I don't like anything she is saying at all. This goes beyond woo-woo BS. This is going into dangerous territory. I think for me too, the fact that they believe it with such conviction and are so confident in their delivery, again, much like I was ranting about at the beginning, the false sense of understanding when it's delivered in such an authoritative way, so confidently, so charismatically. I just think of the people who are, again, are in that like vulnerable emotional state seeking answers, coming across something like this and just taking it at face value and thinking like, I want to embody how these women act, the life that they live, etc. Therefore, I just blindly believe whatever they're saying. Even though, like, to me, Danielle Ryan, it seems like complete nonsense. I can definitely empathize with someone who would come across this and want to believe that what they're saying is true. And that's what makes it so scary.
I used to hate my nose, and because it's an Italian nose, to me it wasn't feminine, blah blah blah.
I have a Slavic nose, so
Yeah,
I could
like totally
relate.
Totally. Like, I think you have the cutest nose, but
Thank you. I think your nose is great.
Larry says, I feel chunks of this podcast deserve a main channel video so more people can see how insane these people are and should never pay them a dime. I do have one video on Manifestation Babe specifically. Some of the comments on that video from her like very devout followers are not so friendly, basically telling me I don't know what I'm talking about. But all that to say, I am actually working on a part 2 to that video because if any of you are on the like Life Coach Snark subreddit, there was an individual in there recently who shared their experience with Manifestation Babe specifically and how much they had invested in all of these programs and gotten no results. And anyway, they gave me a little bit of intel into some things. So it's on my list of deep dives that I want to do in the coming weeks to really look into her program's content and stuff and speak more about like why this is so, so dangerous.
we can hold hands later.
Wait, can we quickly just have an intermission to this thought and just express that like literally we saw each other walking across the street, meeting each other, and my thought was like, oh my god, she's so hot, like who is that girl? And like you're like, I love her outfit, like, but we had like these thoughts about each other
Before we even register it was each
and
other.
then we registered as each other. It was the funniest
No,
thing
I was
in the
like,
world.
that's a boss bitch over there. It was like, and I was like, wait, then it registered that we were each other, and then we're like, oh my god,
like, oh my god, not that
Like,
changes
it checks
anything,
out.
but yeah, it checks out.
yes.
Okay, Italian nose,
Yes,
that you
Italian nose.
you now love.
I now love. I hated it, and I was like, what the fuck, man? And then I realized, well, I obviously am here to talk a lot, clearly. Here we are. And our nose, the way it's shaped, determines how our voice sounds. And the way my voice sounds and the way I express really helps me in being able to reach a group of people who maybe wouldn't be drawn to this stuff in the first place. And like the basic bitch kind of tone of voice that I have, like the Valley Girl kind of like Alexis from Schitt's Creek kind of voice that I have going on, allows me to reach a group of people that will resonate with me, that can get access to this stuff, who would have never gone to the woo-woo crystal shop and found it that way.
Yep.
And so I got really grateful because your nose, how it's shaped, has a lot to do with the tone of your voice. And then that made me really grateful for it. And then I started going, wait, like, I don't look like everyone else. That's fucking hot. Who the fuck wants to look like the fucking filter on Instagram where everyone has a small little nose, the big fucking lips and
yeah.
the, like everyone's gonna start looking the fucking same. I want to be the person who looks different. You know what I
Amen.
mean?
Yeah.
And so I started to fall in love with it that way. And then there's basic things of like also, well, I can breathe through my fucking nose, If you like hate your legs and you think they're fat or whatever, well, you can walk, you can fucking run. Like you got to start where you can actually get behind. You can't lie to yourself. You got to start where you can actually emotionally get behind. So start small, start really small. And I used to not let myself leave the mirror until I was at some angle that I liked. I could have been the most weirdest.
Blah, blah, blah. If you're struggling with self-image, maybe go to therapy. That's my recommendation. Don't take your advice from psychic gurus on the internet.
Small, I was like a dancer, grew up gymnast vibes. But you can manifest them, you can create them. Now, people who just naturally had a soul contract to have maybe bigger boobs or whatever boobs, it doesn't mean that they have these emotional ingredients. It just means that that's how they chose to be.
Contract.
That's their soul contract.
Yeah.
But you can create them if you don't have it. And it's by how you do that is by connecting to emotional ingredients of how you would need the emotions that you need to have that thing. It's like baking a cake. You need all the right ingredients to have the cake turn out good and perfect. You need all the right emotional ingredients to create something that's not in your soul contract, that's coming out of nowhere. And that's for any kind of manifestation that's not in your soul contract. So I was like, I wonder what ingredients you'd need for big boobs. And I won't give them all away, but I'll give away like one or two. One of them is you need to feel like nourished in life. You need to feel nourished. Like you yourself, you need to feel.
Because boobs are literally nourishment.
Exactly.
We were talking about this at dinner and I was like, this makes so much sense.
Yes.
You're like, how much do I have to give to the world? And I was like, this makes sense because you're giving milk through boobs. I mean, typically that's what they're
You're
intended
nourishing
for.
life.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Think of the function of the body part and it probably has to do something with that.
Ooh, so good.
Yes. And then the other one is you need to feel like you bring like life. You bring a special and unique energy. You bring life, literally life.
Monica says, I don't understand what the heck is her point. Her point is she's teaching you how to not need plastic surgery and how to manifest the body parts you desire. The fact that they believe this is true, it's just kind of scary.
Life to people. You bring a unique energy to the world. Like you can create something special in the world. You have to be emotionally connected to that. There's about like 8 other ingredients. And I'm not telling you because I don't want to not tell you. It's just, it won't work unless you do the self-image healing first. That's why you get it after you go through Glow Formula.
That makes so much sense. Okay, so what is like the root cause of like...
That makes so much sense. Does it make any sense? Because I'm I've been leaning on the edge of this makes no sense this whole time.
Weight gain, for example.
Yeah, the emotional root cause of weight gain could be a few things. It is either beating yourself up, and how you can start to love that happened is your body is literally protecting itself from you. Your body is gaining weight instead of your words about yourself hitting your fucking liver and causing a bigger problem.
Yes.
So instead of getting mad at the extra fat, like fucking thank it because it's literally protecting you from having a fucking liver disease instead. Like it's way easier to deal, not that it's easy, but it's easier to deal with extra fat than it is a fucking liver disease.
Yes.
So your body's just needing to protect you because you're beating yourself up constantly. And here's what happens. Where something manifests is not the root cause.
Exactly. Larry, thank you for catching that. They said, you must pay me first. She said she's only teaching you one of the 8 steps because you have to learn how to love yourself first. And in order to learn how to love yourself, you have to join her Glow program, Glow recipe, or whatever she called it. That's the secret, guys. The secret to manifesting the boobs you want is to pay this woman thousands of dollars to join her program. Or you could just spend the same thousands of dollars and get a boob job. But what do I know?
So it doesn't even mean you have to be beating yourself up about your body. You could be beating yourself up about the financial decisions you're making or the relationships you're in or the career you're in or whatever, or what you're saying or how you perceive yourself internally. And that will even cause weight gain on the body. Or you don't feel safe in life. You don't feel safe. You feel like you have to protect yourself.
Sense. It's a protective mechanism.
It's a protective mechanism.
Sure.
Yeah.
What about like, is energetic like Botox very similar? Because
yeah.
Your forehead, like I know you don't have Botox,
nope,
but like
never.
you have not a single wrinkle.
You know why?
And I can tell like your forehead is moving, so I know you don't have actual Botox. But at the same time, I can see like a lot of control in your forehead where it doesn't wrinkle up.
Yes, Catherine, I gave myself energetic Botox.
It's called good genetics. Like what? These people don't actually believe this, do they? Like look at my forehead. I've had these lines on my forehead since I was like 14. I've always had a very expressive face. It has nothing to do with my thoughts about myself. It's literally my fucking genetics. Like, pardon? These people are like off the deep end. Isn't she 29? I think she said she was 27. Exactly. It's called genetics.
I'm so glad you've noticed.
Like I like your forehead's lifted, your eyebrows are lifted.
Mhm.
So is that the same thing with energetic boobs?
A little bit. So aging, there's only 7% of us, part of us, that's supposed to actually age once we hit like full grown adult. The reason why we age is because of reflections. So you know how people, they get to 60 years old, now they can't hear. It's not because they're aging, it's because they're not listening to their fucking intuition for that.
No, it's the reproduction of your cells. What the actual... I'm going to cry. Oh my God. This is actually insane. This is actually insane.
That long. You know, if you don't listen to it for 20 years, okay, 30 years, okay, 40 years, well, now it's manifested into your body. Every physical thing in this world started out as a thought. This microphone, someone had to think about it, design it, send it to a manufacturer, they had to create it, now it's here. Same thing with our body. Any physical thing that's going on starts out as an emotional thought, an emotional root cause. Even if like, you know how you hear running water and then you have to pee?
Yeah.
It's like we have this thing of like our body is so connected to the physical world. And it instantly responds to our thoughts. Like you hear the water, now all of a sudden you have to pee. Or I
Or
can
like
just
biting a lemon.
biting
you
a lemon.
start salivating or like thinking about lunch or whatever.
Yes, I can
Yeah.
describe the best dessert to you and then
Yes.
you'd start like craving
The
it.
mind can't tell the difference between real or imagined.
Very good catch. Space Pastry says, wasn't she the one that said she got D's on everything except essays? You're telling me the person who barely passed high school science is claiming to understand how the human body ages and is confidently sharing that information with the public with no source for the facts that she's spewing. Shocking. Absolutely shocking.
Exactly. So the body instantly responds to our thoughts. So everywhere on your face where you could have wrinkles, that is an emotional root cause. So wrinkles are like worry, okay? If they're on your forehead, it's worry about how other people are perceiving you.
Guys, I've been worried about how other people are perceiving me since I was about 14, I guess.
I've done so much self-image fucking healing that I don't care.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't have them. Now I have a little smile line going on. That's because on my left side, it's because I gotta figure out what it was because I channeled it before. It's because I was worried about how people were receiving what I was saying. Because I can be really like direct and upfront and like not fucking care, you know, if I trigger people. And so I got worried about it. I got worried about it and I still have it. And it's like, I'm still working on clearing it, but I can clear it. But forehead's clear because I'm not worried about how people are perceiving me.
Yes.
I'm worried about how people are perceiving what I'm saying to them. Right. So you can clear or worry around your eyes, worried about the future or worried about what you're seeing in front of you. It depends. When you have intuition, you can channel and go in and see what all these things mean. And you shift the emotion and then you end up shifting literally how you physically look.
Speaking about not worrying about how people perceive you, something that I appreciate so much about you is like you're literally the same person no matter who you're in front of, no matter what the situation is, you're just so authentically and radically you.
And
it's so inspiring.
Well, I guess they're never going to show up in my comment section because they don't care what I think about them. They really just don't care.
Thank you.
So now I know why you have no wrinkles. Like it's very evident that that's where it comes from.
Thank you. And I was the complete opposite of that. You know what I mean? So so thank you. And anyone can shift that. You know, and I think the world has to be in balance. If you're experiencing deep self-image stuff, it's only a matter of time with the right tools so you can experience the complete opposite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're down in the fucking trash can, dumps, toilet, like heads in the toilet, I get it. I've been there.
Who hasn't?
Who
really?
hasn't? We're gonna need to grab your head and pull it out, and you can also experience the opposite of
Yes.
that massively.
Allie, we can literally talk for 27 years
Forever.
straight. Like
Literally.
I texted Ashley after we left the restaurant. I was like, Allie and I just spent 3 hours at True Food. And she's like, I'm surprised it wasn't 4. And I was like, me too. But I have a baby at home. So I needed to like tend to the baby.
100%.
Otherwise we would have gone on. And like the waiter was even like, can you just sign like my thing?
Yeah, the waiter
So
was like, "Please
I'll leave
get
you
out."
alone. But just like, can you guys just check out? So I don't have to like keep asking you guys.
Yeah, he's like,
if
I'm
you
done
need
coming over to
anything."
this table. There's weird shit going on over here.
I felt like we were just in an energetic vortex. So, oh my gosh, so high frequency.
Yes.
We had a bubble around us.
Yes.
Have you noticed that no one sat next to us? Like the restaurant was full, but the table to their left and our right was empty.
Yes. Yeah. No one sat next. We put a shield on ourselves
put a
for
shield,
sure.
yeah.
Because, you know, we talk about a lot of shit and I'm like, okay, well, we can't have these other beings hearing this
No.
because we're not getting
Okay, that's enough for me. These people are freaking something else. I'll tell you that. Okay, I want to look at someone in the comments is saying she claims neuroscience in her Insta bio. I'm going to look her up on Instagram. That is terrifying. Terrifying to me that someone who openly admits they don't understand science is now spewing all this nonsense so confidently, too. What was her name? Allie Nin... something? Okay, here we go. We're back. I don't know if you can hear Bubby's snoring. Having a dream. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to figure out. There we go. Okay, so this is the psychic from that podcast. Master intuition, neuroscience, and universal laws. Former medium turned highly trained intuitive. Phoenix, if you're still here, what's the difference? What's the difference between a medium and an intuitive? Please let me know. Host of Unfuck Yourself podcast. Isn't that a book by a male author? I remember reading a book by that title. 135K on TikTok. Get unfucked. And then this is her, I guess. Okay, so maybe we'll watch this one. It says, if you're new here, welcome and watch this explanation on the work I do.
Properly introduce myself on here, so let's get into it. Hey, I'm Allie. I help you master intuition, neuroscience, and the laws of the universe in order to help you unfuck your life and access your soul's greatest potential. Whenever people first enter my world, a lot of them tell me, I don't know exactly what you do, but I knew that I had to work with you. I get that comment a lot, and to be so honest, I agree. Like, I don't exactly know how to conceptualize sometimes because energy speaks so much louder than words what I do. A lot of times you just have to get inside a session or a program of mine to really understand. We're gonna do our best to explain.
You have to get inside a session. I actually can't tell you what I do. I need you to pay me so I can just show you what I do.
It right now. Story short, I got connected to my intuition at a very young age. I developed medium tendencies very early on, starting around 5 years old. It's like predicting illness.
I hate that she talks in this inflection. I became psychic at a very early age. I started to develop psychic tendencies very early on. And
a family member before they knew about it, and things like talking to my grandfather at his own funeral. Because I was so young, I didn't understand that not everyone else was having that same experience that I was having. However, as I got older, I got highly embarrassed. Fast forward to 2016, when I was 19 years old, I had a massive spiritual awakening. Earlier on in childhood, I've experienced a countless amount of traumas, and typical healing modalities for that, like therapy or psychology, just weren't seemed to working for me. Which led me to the spiritual awakening I had in 2016 when I was 19 years old. I essentially came to the knowing that I could use my intuition and heal myself. So I started working with the best of the best mentor who helped me tap back into my intuition, but not only just use my intuition and hoped it worked, but actually hone in and master my intuition down to a science. I get a lot of people telling me things like this because of the years and years that I took to take a natural born thing and actually hone in on it as a craft and master it. While mastering my intuition, I also embarked on a journey of mastering neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming in order to just heal my own life. It not only worked insanely well, I saw results faster than I've ever seen results using anything else. Not only completely setting myself free and clear of the traumas that I've experienced, but completely healing things like asthma and eating disorder, and learning how to manifest the things that I desired into my physical reality. I was like, holy shit, this works. I have got to tell everyone who wants to know. I combine intuition, neuroscience, and the laws of the universe in order to help you access your greatest soul potential, get you on the fast track to whatever it is you desire in life. I use my intuition to read your soul, your higher self, source energy, and your energy field. Essentially, I use my intuition to see where your soul is at, where it wants to go, what's going on in your current energy field that is stopping you from. Because there is no one-size-fits-all result for people. We are all so unique and we all need different things.
Oh, Sweet Goth, her mentor is a guy named Al. He's an intuitive healer, and he taught her everything she needs to know, and she still pays him to this day, and she will for the rest of her life, she said.
And my mission is to make mastering your own intuition mainstream to the point where it becomes the first result for people when they're looking for answers. I have seen the quickest results in my life and the tens of thousands of students' lives use intuition and teach them how to use their intuition in order to unblock themselves and get themselves to where they're going. Then I use neuroscience and neurolinguistic programming tools to actually get your subconscious mind and the neural pathways in your brain rewired.
So you did an online certification in neurolinguistic programming, and now you've convinced yourself you understand neuroscience. Awesome. Okay, I actually have to jump off right at 6, so we will watch the Instagram stories because Erin says they're interesting, and then I'm going to have to call it here, but we can always come back Another time, another day. Maybe this warrants this woman. I think it might warrant a full video. It might actually be worth it for me to re-explore the whole like quantum manifestation space, just because it has been a couple years since I did that video. So if that's of interest to people, you can let me know in the chat, or if you're watching the replay, you can let me know in the comments. Okay, this is was Justin her boyfriend, I think. I also haven't drank water in 6 hours because I refuse to drink from plastic. I am parched. Jay just landed back in Texas, and this is the text I get. Love that he matches my level of obsessiveness over not drinking out of plastic. Eye roll. I have insane baby fever.
Then have you guys seen that mom on TikTok who like just talks to her super, super cute little baby? And she just like talks to her like an adult and just tells her what they're doing in the day.
Okay, actually, I have seen those videos. They're very cute. If you don't know what she's talking about, it's like a mom and she puts her baby next to her and they lay on the bed and she goes, okay, today we're going to go to the park and your dad's going to come and we're going to meet the neighbors. And she'll like talk in like as if she was talking to an adult. It's really funny. Okay, let's see.
Dad's got us going to look at houses again today, and I want to be transparent with you. I don't love the location of these.
And I saw like speech pathologists saying that this is actually a really smart thing to do if you have kids. Anyway, I don't know what this has to do with.
Also, to be clear, I've always wanted to be a mom. I grew up teaching little kids dance. I love little kids. I grew up babysitting, nannying. Like when I first moved to LA, I nannied 2 little twin girls, like right when they were born, up until they were like 1 year old and the family moved out of LA. But I have just grown up like teaching, babysitting, nannying kids. Like I love kids and I've always wanted to be a mom. And I have a lot of fear around it because I am also freakishly obsessed with my business and my soul pull in career. And I mean, so upset, like eat, sleep, breathe, like I love it so much. And it's not something I'm willing to, not that you have to give up your business or career to become a mom, but things I feel like priorities definitely shift, especially at first.
Very good point. Juliet says if any of her customers are harmed by this, she could face legal prosecution for attempting to treat a mental health condition, eating disorder, trauma, etc. I think a lot of these people don't think of those consequences. They just think they can do whatever.
Okay, also another thing while we're here and that I want to tell you that I'm like stressed about with having baby is obviously I am a very independent.
Okay, I don't care about her having a baby.
But of course, I know that when I...
Erin, which part of this is interesting? I know I will literally be obsessed with my child the second I get pregnant. Okay, isn't that the experience for most women that want to get pregnant?
Also, here's another one, and it may sound silly.
The floodgates have opened to my stream of consciousness. Here we go.
And again, like it's...
Oh my God, why is she moving in every frame? Here is my problem, LOL.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is my problem is I've never felt really drawn to have a party phase. And when I say party phase, I don't even mean like drugs, like I literally... So anyway, that's my other thing of like, other than those things...
What? I can't with this angle, I don't know. This is your business. Like what? Help. Okay, skip these. Okay. Like, what am I watching? Here we go. Okay, so this is her boyfriend, I guess. New episode dropping tomorrow. The dark side of spirituality. Is every healer good? Oh my, maybe this is what we'll listen to next week. I gotta write this down. The dark side. Wait, what is this? Unfuck yourself. And it's episode 92. Okay, maybe this will be next week's episode.
There's a universal law called the law of opposing forces. So essentially what this means is whenever you really, really, really want something, the thing that you want quite literally has to oppose you. So if you really, really, really want money, money has to really, really, really not want you. Just like...
Huh? So many people feel like they struggle with knowing what direction to go in, navigating uncertain times, making decisions without second guessing themselves. I get it. Here's the truth. The answers you need aren't outside of you. They're inside of you. And once you train your intuition, you can rely on yourself for anything. You become your own authority, guide, and healer. We launched 2 groups of Advanced Intuition Level 1 and both sold out in less than 48 hours. Since so many of you want to step into your full intuitive power and potential, we're launching 2 more. Taught by Team Intuitive Gianna and the other by Team Intuitive Emma. So I'm assuming those are people she's recruited into her program. She's taught them how to be intuitive, and now they will coach you. Just like we see in the Coaches Coaching Coaches. What did I say an hour ago, guys? I said it's the psychics coaching psychics on how to become psychics. And here we're seeing it happen in real life. You can become certified psychic by learning from someone else who is certified psychic. Or intuitive, sorry. What's included? 6 weeks of pre-recording, 6 weeks of live practice, and a community. It's literally the same thing. This is Coaches Coaching Coaches, but it's intuitives coaching intuitives. Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. I gotta go, but I need to know. I need to know. Join Emma, Team Allie's trained intuitive. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So this person took the certification, and now she is going to train other people on how to be intuitive. Holy crap. I think I know what we're doing next week, guys. This is just a Pandora's box that has been busted wide open. Oh my God. Plot twist, she's the dark side. I guess we'll find out when we listen to the podcast. Oh my Lanta. These people will just make up laws on the fly. Hypnotherapist coaches too. There's a coach for everything, and they'll coach somebody else on how to do that, whatever it is. Scary, scary times, guys. Don't trust random people on the internet with cameras and opinions. It's me. That was a wild ride. I did not expect that to end the way it did, but if you're interested in taking a look at this woman a little bit further next week, you can just let me know. We'll listen to that podcast. We'll look into these programs because this is actually insane. Psychics getting certified to become psychics so that they can certify other people on how to become psychics. This is a whole new pyramid that we've just unlocked together. But I'm sure if I asked them, this is what they would say to me.
No, how is this not a pyramid scheme?
That's not what I meant. I meant this one.
It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not even a scheme per se.
It's not even a scheme per se, but we'll be the ones to judge that next week because that's what we do around here. I'll see you, yes, next week for part 2. Put it in your calendars, and we will manifest a good time and a healthy internet connection. Okay, guys? Thank you so much. Yes, go and get those demons out of your brain. Do some screaming, cleansing, plant medicine. Pop a few Xanax if you need to. Don't do that. Taking pills is bad for you. I'll stop talking. Okay, take care. Comb your hair, guys. I'll see you next week. Bye!